In today's Health Matters, we've all heard you are what you eat, but what does that mean now that we have new food guidelines from the Secretary of Health?
Plus, the keys to living a longer, healthier life are right at your fingertips. Here to explain is regenerative medicine expert Dr. Jason Saunders. So, Dr. Saunders, great to have you here.
Good to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
So much kind of been talked about with this new food pyramid, right? For example, we've been told to avoid eating too much red meat. And that's all kind of been flipped upside down right now. So what do you make of the new food pyramid?
Mostly, I'd say I'm in favor. I mean, the original food guidelines, which were very heavy in carbohydrate intake, 6 to 11 servings of bread, cereal, pastas, and limiting or almost eliminating fat as a nutrient in our diet. And this literally does flip it upside down. It says, hey, we need to be limiting our carbohydrate intake, especially refined grains.
How do you retrain the brain now when you've been told to avoid red meats or eat them sparingly?
Right.
Now to kind of embrace it.
I think it's a common sense approach. It's like, hey, listen, don't eat packaged foods. Eat foods that are naturally existing, fruits and vegetables, meats, cheeses, things that, again, we've been told to avoid, but these are natural foods that have existed for thousands and thousands of years. And as long as we're limiting refined foods, we're limiting chemicals in our food, and we're looking for natural, nutrient-dense foods, we're going to see a shift in the right direction, I think, in the population.
Some people are interpreting it, though, as like, eat a ton of red meat and eat a ton of cheese, but that's not exactly correct either,
I mean, you know how people interpret things the way they want to, right?
Yes, exactly.
So the old food pyramid used to be a great excuse for like, oh, I love my carbs and my chips, and I'm supposed to get 6 to 11 servings.
Exactly.
And so we have to be moderate across the board, right? It doesn't mean, tons of red meat. It doesn't mean as much fat as you could possibly intake. It just means take a common sense approach, be a little bit more open-minded to, eating the foods that humans have existed on for thousands of years. It's really just a common sense approach more than it is anything else.
All that's supposed to also help you age delicately, I guess, right? So,
which is the goal.
Yeah, let's talk about some other ways you can age nicely. LeBron James, Tom Cruise.
Nicely.
Yeah, they're talking about believing in the benefits of hyperbaric oxygen therapy. So how does that help the body?
I mean, that happens, I've been in practice for 20 years treating patients. We use a lot of different modalities, a lot of different strategies. By far, especially even in the research of recent years, hyperbaric has been shown to be one of the most powerful longevity strategies that exist. We've been using hyperbaric in our clinic for over 20 years. I've used it myself in that same time frame. Oxygen is probably one of the most important molecules that we have in our body. If you don't believe me, hold your breath. See how long you can last. And so oxygen's, reducing inflammation. It's stimulating repair and regeneration of cells and tissues. It's improving our cellular performance, our cognition, our brain health. And really, there's not that many ways you can get more oxygen in your body. Right now, we're carrying about as much as we can. The only way to drive more oxygen is through pressure. And that's what hyperbaric does. It increases pressure, which drives additional oxygen, allows our body a surplus of oxygen for all the different pathways that oxygen helps us with.
But real quickly, though, how accessible is that for the common person?
I mean, so much more now. I mean, 20 years ago, I would have said, I wouldn't have been on the show answering questions about this. Today, people have chambers in their home. There's clinics popping up all over the country. And so it's far more accessible, not as much as it needs to be, but far more accessible today than it's ever been.
So there are things that we do that accelerate the aging process, right? I guess some of it could be what you eat, spending too much time in the sun, but was there possible without surgery to reverse the body's aging process?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not about chronological age, right? We all know people who look, feel, and act like, they're 80, but they look, feel, and act like they're 60 or 70, and we know people in their 50s and 60s that look, act, and feel like they're in their 70s or 80s. So
I mean, just take, I don't know if you saw the video of Henry Winkler on Jennifer Hudson's show the other day. He's 80 and he was dancing like a 20-year-old down the hallway. And but there's different types of 80.
Exactly. Well, there's biological age and chronological age. So we don't want to stop chronological age because that means we're no longer here. We just want to feel good. We want to be youthful. We want to have high quality of life. And that's definitely easy to do because most of us think we're born with a certain level of health and it's just inevitable decline no matter what we do. And then we wait until we're sick and then we start acting on strategies for improving our health, which I'm not going to tell you not to. You can always do better. You can always improve your health no matter how sick you are. But at the same time, there are things you could do throughout your life that would have dramatically increased your quality of life while you're doing them and then pushed longevity well into the future.
Quickly. What would you say is the top one to do?
So, I mean, diet and exercise, obvious, proper light is critical. So we're getting way too much blue light from all the screens, all the devices in our life. And there's a lot of health effects, negative health effects of all the blue light. On the flip side, there's red light, near infrared, infrared light, which we actually need more of. Our body, just like plants use sunlight for energy production, our bodies use light for energy production, and getting more of this red light is critical. You could do that naturally outside. I walked here this morning. I watched the sunrise over the East River. You know, early morning sunrises, catching sunsets, getting that red light is critical for our health. Oxygen is critical for our health. We could do these things naturally by breathing better and getting, you know, natural sunlight, or we can use technology like red light therapies and hyperbaric oxygen when we really need an upgrade.
All right, good stuff. Great advice. Thanks so much, Dr.
You're so
Sanders.
welcome.
Great to
Thanks
meet
for
you.
having me.